Welcome to KLTV8's Lakewood Open for Business, where we feature locally owned and operated businesses that have a unique story to tell. This month we're visiting Artamation, which is a long-standing art and image consulting firm dedicated to helping Lakewood small businesses develop a competitive and professional appearance. Let's find out what they can do to help Lakewood small businesses prosper. Hi, I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike. Martha, Artamation.
I heard I was meeting with artists today, so I figured I'd look the part. What do you think?
Well, you look fabulous, but you might get a little messy. Let's put an apron on, shall we?
Sure. Well, I'm kind of curious. What does an art consultant do?
Well, what we do, Mike, is we help people to make the most of their visual presentation with all of the different things they may need, whether that's branding or design for the space, whether their ergonomics are difficult. Making a buying environment for a retail space is something that's really important. Creating that X factor so that people get excited about being there, want to stay there, and want to spend more money there.
So what services do you provide?
What we do most of all is we really listen to what their needs are, and then we tailor our full spectrum of creative services just for their specific needs.
So what are some of the things that you do to help small businesses start up?
Well, for example, we worked with the Blue Cow in Morrison recently, and we took from their street appeal all the way to the inside of the restaurant and the menus, every aspect of what the customer's contact is with our client, and re-examine that and help them to develop graphics and signage and revamp the entire interior of the restaurant, color consulting, menus, the whole start to finish.
Wow. So it's not just logos and letterhead, it's a complete business makeover.
It really can be, Mike, and we feel that it's really important for startup businesses, but sometimes it's equally important for long-standing businesses because you get stuck in your old ways and you don't always rethink all of that. And so how a new customer sees you, sometimes you forget to think about those things. So that's what we really help businesses to do, is to help them to develop a strong image.
What are some of the common mistakes that businesses make when they're first starting up?
I think people realize they need to hire an accountant, they need to have legal help, they need to set up a business plan, but oftentimes they don't take that same sort of model and apply it to their design and image. So creating a really strong brand right from the get-go saves a lot of problems later because you've already defined for the public who you are rather than letting the public define you.
You know, you mentioned transforming spaces. Can you give me an example of things that Artamation has done?
Well, we transform all kinds of spaces. We've done everything from event spaces, which is a temporary space, up to permanent spaces. For example, the Brunetti Lofts that we transformed down at 26th and Larimer. It's a United Way of Denver and Volunteers of America residents for transitional families that have had some struggles and are getting back on their feet. And so the back courtyard was a space that was just concrete and corrugated metal, and it was extremely hot and there was no place for the children to play. So we transformed this almost inhumane environment into something that was beyond humane. It really just brought art into these children's lives and created an environment that was fun to be in and that they enjoyed, and it made them feel special, not like they were living in some place that was a supplemental housing situation, but it gave them that pride of ownership too of their playground.
Martha, I got to ask this. Did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
You know, Mike, I'm always happiest with a pencil in my hand or something to mold or something to make. I grew up on construction sites. My father was a contractor here in Denver, and so I had the opportunity to be on a hands-on situation and see how they created things all the time. And so I think it was just naturally there from that perspective, and then I just always have loved art.
You know, I talk to a lot of people who have a passion for something, but very few of them are really able to make a living from it. But you've really been able to turn your passion into a career, haven't you?
Well, Mike, I think it was naivete on my part. When we first started out, my husband, David, and I started Artamation after I finished graduate school. And I naively thought that if I was clever enough to make a painting, I could figure out a way to make a living as an artist. And somehow it's worked out.
So Martha, what are we going to do here?
Well, Mike, what we're going to do here is a simple dragonfly border. First of all, you can just Xerox whatever pattern you have, whether it's something as simple as this or something more complicated. And what you can do is then take the back of that and take like a Conti crayon or a piece of charcoal, really, and then you can see where I've already gone on here and transferred some of the Conti crayon onto the back here. Then what we're going to do is line it up, and I've already got these spaced to the spacing that I wanted for this particular project. And then you're going to take the pencil and just trace the dragonfly right there. And that'll transfer your design right onto the board.
Oh, wow.
And you don't even have to know how to draw.
Yeah, I was going to say, all you have to do is stay within the lines.
Okay, Mike, so now after you penciled that on there, you can see, and hopefully this worked, you can see right there that we have a perfect impression of that that's done. Now, one thing you always want to make sure of when you start to paint is how much paint is in your brush. And so the rule of thumb for me is to keep a really dry brush, not too dry so it won't flow, but dry enough so that you can control how much paint is going down, and then you don't get uncontrollable pieces that go outside of your border.
Okay.
So just go ahead and lightly start to go in around your border area, and start in one area and keep working that area so you always have a wet edge.
Okay.
That way you don't get streaking as bad. So always keep the part that you've started wet. And once you see how beautiful the results are, then you'll think I could do this, and I'd like to do this all over my house. Okay, so you can see how nice that looks with this green oxide color onto this yellow ochre. So maybe you have a different type of a decor, and instead of having something that's a little bit more contrasting, you want something that blends a little more. So this is more of a terracotta red, and it's basically the same color as our lines, and you'll see that the advantage of using a color of Conti crayon for your transfer, you can blend it with the line that you use. So go ahead and show it with, you can try one there with the red iron oxide. And you see that that blends right in because it's basically the same color. So that's another way, if you use a color that matches the paint color that you're using, is another way to disguise your lines.
Sure. So Martha, out of all the art and design work you do, what is your own personal favorite?
I love to do my own painting, of course. I love doing projects for other people, but I love to work from nature, and I've been working on a series of red rocks. So what I do is I take my camera and I take a lot of photographs, and then I bring them back to the studio and create the paintings back here. Now you could also do this border like the example that I've shown, where it's done on a dark border, and then the dragonflies really pop off. So it really makes a difference what type of surface you go onto underneath, if you want something that's softer or if you want something more dramatic. We've done a lot of different borders for people that match sometimes with other home decor that a particular client that we developed these dragonflies for had ordered light fixtures that had dragonflies, and so we were matching that to her particular bathroom. So here we've got some metallics. Those are not as green, and you can't see it in there, but I want you to put a little bit onto this darker dragonfly that we've done. So if you just take a little bit of that into like the edges, like on the ends of the wings, and maybe a little bit into the body, and you'll see how it kind of begins to pick up a sense where it looks like a patina. And then the other thing that we can provide for people is we do custom stencils, where I can cut a stencil for you to use at home if you'd like, off of any artwork you want to send me. I can digitize it and have that output. Or of course you can hire us to come and do it if you don't want to do it yourself.
So you really do function on a wide range of services and opportunities to bring art into different places.
Well, we like to think of ourselves as a little big shop We're a small business, but we can do a lot of really big things and a wide range. Again, we have a full spectrum of creative services.
You know what they say, small business is the backbone of America, and certainly the backbone of Lakewood.
Well, we hope we're part of that backbone.
So Martha, what are we up to now?
Well, what we're going to do now is create just the beginning of a mural so you can kind of see how it starts. So I'm going to hand you a piece of charcoal.
Okay.
And in normal circumstances, I would have a very careful scaled plan that I've developed for the space and have created sketches for the space. So it's very much so what the customer sees is what they get. And then there's no surprises for anyone. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly do a little quick sketch. Maybe throw a little trees in there like that and just create kind of a horizon line. Now what I'm just beginning here is what's called the underpainting. So maybe if you wanted to just throw down a horizon line and just a little area across there, not too dark in the charcoal, but if you keep it light, you'll see that you have a very forgiving surface here. Okay, then the next thing, this is a little counterintuitive, a little different tool, but these are staining sponges, and I use these a lot for underpainting because you can move the paint very quickly. So I'm going to load some of that up with my underpainting blue. So what I can do is start up in a corner and just start to begin to create some sky elements here. Now the beauty of the sponges is that they happen really fast. Now notice when I bring that over my charcoal line, it just about disappears so that I don't have to worry about those lines coming through. So if you want to grab just a little bit of here, I'll just trade you sponges.
Okay.
You can take that one. And then just for your landform element, go ahead and start bringing in a little bit of that green on the landform aspect. So just go on across there and you'll see you have still some other paint. Now kind of take that sponge and sort of hold it right up to that edge, and you can see how you can pull that line right out of the edge of the sponge.
Right.
And so rather than getting little tiny spots, you kind of want to really get it on, and then you can manipulate how it's going down if you need to change the angle or change the direction. Not bad.
That's fun.
Okay, now try and not make your strokes exactly the same all the time. Just mix them up a little bit. There you go. And then get all the way down to the bottom. Don't leave what we call a halo effect there where you've got the white. Now on here you can start to see how I've allowed some of the paint to start to streak down. And you can actually use some of those techniques. So you can see that I can change how much paint I'm putting into this. And as I come forward, I can add more green because then you get that natural aerial perspective starting to happen. But it's all happening very quickly. You can build up a lot of paint really in a hurry. Now obviously, if you're a beginner, you're not going to feel that comfortable to do something quite this courageous as to get that much paint on there right away. Not everybody wants their mural to be full throttle. Some people like it to be more of a soft kind of painterly approach. And I'm just kind of throwing some trees in here for placement, some nice cypress trees.
So you've been running Artamation successfully since 1988. What's your vision for the future?
Well, the projects that we're developing right now, we're working on community projects, and we really want to take what we've been able to do for individuals and businesses and bring that to whole communities and really transform, be a part, have it in some small hand in developing the future of our environment and our whole community, really. So you can see this is how we kind of get things started. And then let's go over here to some of my finished canvases, and this is my fine art, not necessarily mural work, but I think you can see some things about how this came along. Up in here you can see how this was done laying down so that there's these wonderful textures that are created through here. And then you can begin to see how the depth begins to be developed.
You must be very, very proud of the projects that you've done.
Well, we really are. We really love all the work we do. Every project's new and exciting every time, and we really enjoy working with people and helping them to create their own vision through our expertise.
So there really are a lot of other areas where you do give back to the community.
We absolutely love to give back to the community, and we've done a lot of projects where we've done a portion in donation or in barter as ways to make it possible for people. In the long-term care setting, we were able to work out a monthly payment plan so that they paid off part of the mural on a monthly basis, which worked better for their budget. And so we really try and make it work for the community. And another benefit, and speaking of the community, is when you mural on the exterior of buildings, it's oftentimes a discouragement for graffiti. So it not only puts you on the map, but it also helps to keep that presence beautiful because people are less likely to tag when there's an art presence.
Now I feel like a real artist. All these things I've done, if I could only draw. Join us next month when we visit with a Lakewood business that specializes in the healing arts, right here on KLTV Channel 8's Lakewood, Open for Business.